Hello, district super users, and welcome to How to Navigate Your Policy Advisories Awaiting Adoption folder. I'm Lynn Bondi, one of your policy analysts, who will be walking you through this process. So first, we issue policy advisories when there are changes in state or federal law that require changes to your current manual documents. If we create, amend, or delete any policy documents, you will know about it and the rationale for it through policy advisories. As you can see, alerts are current updates that do not require action. I like to think of them as FYIs. So these notifications keep you informed to ensure your manual is up to date. So working in Chrome, you'll log into Policy Bridge, and from your dashboard, you'll select Policy Advisories Awaiting Adoption folder. You will then see this navigation bar. The policy column shows the title of the document in your manual. If the policy advisory pushed out a document that you do not have in your manual, this column will show as document missing, as you can see here. The master policy column contains the ASBA model document title. The PA column contains the message or summary that we sent out that explains the reason for the policy advisory. So you can see that summary there. The next column, Add PA Version Draft to Manual, does exactly that. It adds that policy advisory version to your district's manual so that you can edit it. You would select Add New Doc to TOC or Table of Contents if your district is missing this document and has decided to adopt it. This enables you to put the document in the correct place. The next two columns allow you to compare versions of the document. The first one allows you to compare the current policy advisory document with the previous policy advisory version, if there is one. Let's look at one of those. So the red font indicates language that was removed, the blue is language that was added, and the black signifies the same language in both versions. The compare PA version to manual version compares the PA version of the document with your current public version. So this is really beneficial when showing your superintendent and board the changes. So let's look at one of these. Let's look at the one on hazing. Again, that red is language that was removed in the new PA version. Blue is what's been added. And again, black signifies the same language in your current public version and this PA version. And when showing them the board and the superintendent those changes, it's a really nice feature after showing them the changes as that you can click this PA button and it will show the rationale as to why. You would select Adopt this column if you do not need to make any edits and have decided to adopt the document, and Decline if there's something that does not pertain to your district. For example, policy JJIA on intramural sports. If your district does not have intramural sports, you would decline that PA. On to the process. This is how to add a document from the Policy Advisories Awaiting Adoption folder that your district does not have. For example, your district does have intramural sports and has decided to adopt policy JJIA. So if you look, since that document is missing, if I try and adopt that document without adding it, this little pop-up message will remind us that we have to add it before we can adopt it. So we go to JJIA and we select add this policy to our table of contents. Your district's manual will pop up and it'll ask you where you want to place that new, in this case, policy. So that would go in section J, and it would go right above policy JJIB. So select that, and we want to insert before this. Now, if we look, instead of document missing, it will show where it will be placed. We can now select adopt, and then you'll select submit. We always want to put in our notes. So our notes will be, this was policy advisory 729. It's a policy, so the board must adopt it. Board adopted, let's say February 24th. We always want to make sure we use the calendar when we're entering the date that the board adopted it. If not, it gives us very wonky dates. So the February 24th, we're going to hit submit. Now, if we refresh, and we go into our manual, we will now be able to see it in our table of contents and that new adoption date on there. So let's look. Let's go into J. There it is. And we can see that new adoption date. One more scenario. This is how you open a document to edit from your policy advisories awaiting adoption folder. For example, your district needs to add information, let's say to policy GCO. So a quick note here, if your district needs to fill in blanks or add any kind of information, this adopt button will be disabled, as you can see. So we'll select Add PA Version Draft to Manual. And another pop-up message will appear reminding you that if you need to save this document and continue editing at a later date, this save draft will now be, you'll be able to access it from My Docs folder, no longer from Policy Advisories Awaiting Adoption folder. So we'll scroll through and add and edit as needed. It looks like what needs to be added to policy GCO is that the board needs to describe the performance improvement plans for teachers designated in the lowest performance classifications. Looks like you also need to describe your dismissal or non-renewal procedures. And one more thing, it looks like we need to add in the district's definition of classroom inadequacy of classroom performance. So you would need to take this out, add in that definition, whatever the board adopted as far as performance improvement plans, as well as dismissal or non-renewal procedures. So you're going to add all that in. Once you finish, we're going to scroll to this gray metadata area at the bottom. Then we'll select Save and Process. We always want to add in our notes. So say this was Policy Advisory 634. The board adopted this on 2/24. And then again, since this is a policy, we want to select board adopted policy on. We always want to use this calendar here to make sure our dates are accurate. So 2/24. If this was a regulation or exhibit, we would have selected this and used the calendar. So we'll select submit. The notification will let us know we have in fact successfully submitted that document to us to be published. And now, as you can see, it now shows that it has been adopted with the changes. That's the current status. This always gives you all the different versions and all of the different notes at the bottom. We've also created a cheat sheet that walks you through this process, which is posted on our website under Policy Bridge. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us with questions. And thank you, super users, for all you do.